Matt, thank you so much. Great to be here today. Matt Haymes, you're the grandson of the original founder of the Haymes paint business, Australia's largest family-owned made paint in the country. Is that right?
That's right. We're the last one left, so it's a bit sad in some respects.
Yeah.
You know, in the last sort of 5 or 10 years, we've seen all the big paint companies, Dulux, Bottle, Solver, Torbans, they've all been bought up by internationals. Not just paint industry, it's happening in a lot of industries. We're 85 years old next week, which is pretty exciting. So still 100% Australian, 100% family.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm the third generation. It's myself, my sister, my brother-in-law, Rod, who's our CEO, my brother Tim, my wife and my brother's wife. So I'm very fortunate, and 300 other families scattered around Australia, and as you can see in Ballarat, 32 amazing people making all the paint that we send all over Australia, but also all around the world too.
We're here on a really cold Ballarat day in your paint factory, which is the first one, still continues to be the one today. But the crazy thing is, I mean, you're coming up to a major milestone, as you've just mentioned, but as I said, the crazy thing is that we're in a world now of COVID-19, global pandemic. It's changed everything. I'm fascinated to hear what you've been doing, because I understand you had a big pivot. You suddenly went to hand sanitizer from being a paint business. Tell us a little bit about what happened there.
Chris, it's been, look, I think we've been really, really lucky. A lot of people decided they wanted to decorate during COVID, and so paint sales kept going. So we don't, we don't sort of, we don't take that for granted, and we know there's a lot of family businesses that are impacted. But we also got to a point where we thought, oh crikey, what happens if things do slow down? What happens if we all get shut down? So how do we become an essential service? So hand sanitizer was just something that we thought, or the lab guys thought, oh heck, we can actually try that, we can make it. And then there was also a lot of other local businesses, the supermarkets, the pharmacies, they couldn't get hand sanitizer. There was a shortage, a mass shortage all around the country. So we started making it, and it's not our core business, but I reckon we've made about 40,000 litres of it. We've given a lot of it away, which has been fantastic, and we've been able to do that. One of my mates has been making it, and he's a little bit upset with me that we were giving it away, because his business as an alcohol producer, it stopped. He couldn't do anything else. So look, we won't probably continue it unless there's massive demand for it, because lots of people are doing it now, but when there was a need, we were able to help out, so we were thrilled.
And one of the things that you and I, Matt, have been chatting about is you're very core to your family values and maintaining being a family business going into the future. And one of the things that you're really passionate about is making sure that the front line of your customer business is all family owned and operated as well. Talk us through why you didn't just go into a straight franchise model with putting your paint and retail businesses, and why that's been important for you as a business.
Yeah, look, I think it's a really good question. When we started the journey, I think probably 15 or 20 years ago, with looking at where do we want to sell our products, a lot of the market was starting to go to corporate hardware like Bunnings, and we decided, look, that's not for us as a family. We wanted to deal with other families, and for two reasons. I think you get to remain close to your customers, the people that are putting it on, but also you develop some amazing relationships in that space, and they're relationships we've had since we were kids, and since Dad dealt with a lot of the parents of the people we're now dealing with, so they're multi-generational family businesses. So with Paint Spot unfortunately being bought by one of the big corporates, Dulux, who's Japanese owned, that was really the time we went, you know what, we have to control a lot of our own distribution network to get close to our customers. So we've got about 300 operators around the country that are paint specialists and independent hardware stores, are family businesses or company owned, and then we've also got about 10,000 tradespeople, men and women, who are all family owned businesses as well. And then probably 30% of our business is just the do-it-yourselfers, the people who are doing it on the weekends. That's increased with COVID, mind you, quite incredibly. More and more people, but there's a lot of people that haven't painted before, so we're really, I guess, part of our role is no longer just being a manufacturer, but being an influencer, being an educator and a retailer.
And how do you see your role as a paint manufacturer in helping to educate and helping to grow the industry and the business, and helping people do things exactly what you were touching on there that they might not have done before? So you're not just selling the paint, you're helping them achieve something extraordinary. How do you see yourselves fitting into that picture?
Oh, look, Chris, I reckon that's actually probably the most exciting part of where we're at. And, you know, we saw probably pre-COVID, it was all very impersonal. People were busy, people were probably not engaged in their communities as much as perhaps. All of a sudden, people are turning around now and going, you know what? I'm going to shop locally, I'm going to support local business, I'm going to support Australian manufacturers, I'm going to support other families. And through that, people are creating a community. So part of our role, I think, is to facilitate that, you know, for people to have, through social media, through digital, be able to post their ideas, to be able to get their influence. So maybe it's like the next generation of bloggers. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's so exciting, and we're seeing this transition. And you've got to look at COVID and go, there's so much misery and so much despair around the world, and I think we've been very fortunate, but you've got to look at the silver lining that's coming from it. And for us as a business to, as you say, be able to pivot right now, when you're family and you're small, you're agile. And that's what we're doing right now, and it's bloody exciting.
I'm fascinated in your passion around being a family business and the flexibility that gives you, and perhaps the autonomy to make decisions as a family business that if you were a public company you wouldn't do. How has that played out with you or for you over the years in being a family business to perhaps make decisions about stuff that you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise?
Look, and I think it's a beautiful question, and it's something that we as a family, I think we take it for granted sometimes how you know, we are so lucky, because as a family you can get together, you can go, well, this is what's important to us. And there's no doubt you don't make decisions necessarily as corporates would, because they're very much shareholder value and return. For us, we've got to make a profit to keep reinvesting in the business, but it's about the people. It's about the families that work in your business, the people that actually sell your products and support you, and the people that put it on. And that, to me, if you've got that focus, you've got the ability to always look at that, that's what keeps you going. You know, like, we're not being smart when we say it, but we could have been bought and sold probably 10 times over in the last 20 years, and it's not even on our radar. And the big corporates, they don't get that, because it's about families. You know, there's Lenny over there, 40 years with our company. His son Cody works over here. That's what makes a family business. So we're bloody lucky, so fortunate.
One of the other things, Matt, that you and I have talked about is your digital strategy, going online as a business. Has COVID accelerated your interest into wanting to be more sophisticated with digital and technology?
It has, and I don't think it's unique to the paint industry. I think the challenge with paint is we're into colour, we're in inspiration, and how on a phone and on a computer screen do you replicate colour? It's really tricky, because it will look different. It looks different on a wall given it the light, day or night. So to put it on a computer screen and digitally try to, I guess, replicate it, it's got challenges. But has it accelerated what we're doing? Absolutely. We thought probably before COVID we were watching the space. As soon as COVID hit, we had to play in the space, and it's changing everything. But we also truly believe there's a spot for bricks and mortar retailing as well. So it's not either or, it's complementary to that. So unlike a lot of maybe of our competitors, we're not in we're designing it to include all of those family businesses that sell our product, that they're part of this solution going forward. So yeah, it's really, it's changing business, but it's not just paint, it's everything. But our challenge is not to do it as a manufacturer, it's to do it as a consumer, to inspire. Paint companies seriously make stuff difficult. Consumers don't need all the fluff. They just want, this is my project, this is what I want to achieve, help me get there. So that's our job.
Matt, I'm always looking into the future and trying to understand what we should do better based on the world that we've come from. There's no doubt at all government is really trying to reach far into understanding how it needs to keep the economy going, keep consumers moving along, keep business bubbling along, and Australia has been doing pretty well with that so far. If we look at the future of government, what does government, in your mind, as a family business owner, have to do to keep this economy moving, stimulated, and keep Australia floating?
Chris, I think that is a wonderful question, and I'm pleased you ask it, because it's easy to kick our politicians, and I have been probably guilty of it, and no, I have been guilty of it. Whether it's Liberal or Labor, federal or state, I think we've got to take our hats off to the way our politicians have handled this, and I think one of the keys is they've come together and they've actually been, I guess, they've had a unified voice. The stuff that was so trivial became big issues in the past. I think government has to actually, like all of us, have a reassessment of going, what's bloody important? Because it's not about them. It's about our society. It's about people. It's about families. And I think they'll play a vitally important role. They have, whether it's in the JobKeeper program at a federal level, with the medical advice at a federal and a state level, from an investment point of view, both state and federally. The Victorian government just announced another 1.2 billion today on top of 2.7 last week. That's significant because these are plumbers, these are painters, these are electricians, and they're all small family businesses, mum and dad businesses that will need support going forward. They want to work, it's just the work's dried up. The work is not there. People haven't got the confidence that they had pre-COVID. So the government will play an important role to help small businesses to pivot. I think going forward, the government also needs to be really mindful about what is Australian made, what is Australian owned, and protecting our manufacturing. We've been woefully exposed to not have a manufacturing base here and to have let everything go offshore. It's so sad. This is our one opportunity. We've had a bit of a shot across the bows. Let's wake up and let's get behind supporting Australian, and particularly Australian made and owned businesses.
And you're already into my next question, Matt, which is what does the future of Australian manufacturing even look like? If we look 10 years into the future, you've got a crystal ball, what does that look like for the future?
Look, I'm only one voice and I'm only an opinion, and as a family we've addressed it. We think it's incredibly bright, the future. Look around, we're right here and we're seeing in the last 10 years we've doubled the size of our production here. We've doubled the number of people across our business in the last 7 years. And as a manufacturer it's quite rare, but it comes down to we've made investment as a family. Ultimately people support us as a family business, which allows us to make the investment. There's an important role in government here to I think make some decisions about, if it's made here we're going to support it, if it's Australian owned we're going to support it. But it's also about other businesses, whether they're family businesses or corporate, saying, where are we sourcing our gear from? I know as a family business, the first board meeting we had after when COVID was announced was all via Zoom. The first thing we did was we looked at our supply partners, from every marketing trinket that we offer, to go, is it Australian made? And if not, is there an option there for it? I think we were probably guilty. 92% of the time we think we've got it right, 8% of the time we didn't. I can tell you now that's changed. Every business, I think, and most consumers have got that responsibility now, and I think it'll make a big difference for everyone.
I think you really echo the sentiment of Australian consumers there, Matt. I mean, we're so much behind Australian made, Australian owned, Australian built. I want you to keep your wizard hat, your futurist, ball gazing, looking into the future. What do you see for Haynes Paint in 10 years when you look ahead? What's the thing you want to be doing and known for?
What will be is 95 years old, so we're approaching 100 years, and I think as a family business, as an Australian family business, that'll be huge. So we'll be in party mode, I've got no doubt, number one. I think a huge amount of our channel will have changed in that the trade will be very aligned to one manufacturer. So I think there'll be a lot of supply and apply where we'll work with them for their business acumen to assist them in becoming really, really profitable, safe, environmentally friendly, socially conscious businesses. And I think that's going to be our role, is to facilitate that, not just as a retailer, but as a business partner with trade. I think we'll never be the biggest, we don't want to be. We just want to be the best. We don't want to compromise on our quality. We want to make sure that what we're producing is just head and shoulders above what the rest of the market can produce. They've got shareholders that every 5 cents a litre matters to them. For us as a family business, it's just better paint. So that's what we want to do. There's some things that will change, and I think as a society, it's going to be probably more and more challenging to remain relevant. There's a whole generation that comes through that don't know about a paint specialist. They go to Bunnings. We've got to re-educate a whole bunch of people to go, you know what, there's alternatives there. So, and we've all got kids, all of our families have got kids where they may or may not be interested in it. how do we want to, I guess, bring them in or do we want to bring some outside management in? There's a lot of stuff that we haven't decided, but I think as a family, they're the things that excite us about having the conversations.
Matt, thank you so much for inviting me into your factory, into your business, and giving me such a frank and honest view into your family, your business, the future, and what's going on here.
Chris, thank you so much for showing an interest, and well, you're welcome. You're part of the family now, and you too, Andrew. So thank you very much. It's been great to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.